Every episode of Bluey hides something clever, and once you notice them, you'll never watch the show the same way again. Like in the minisode Alongside, there's a tiny but amazing detail most fans might have missed. When Honey and Bluey wander into the garden, Bluey stops to look at the fish swimming in a pond. But this isn't just any random pond, it's actually the same fish pond Chili mentioned way back in the episode Stump Fest. And remember the episode Tradies? That's where Chippy and Sparky were seen building it. It's such a subtle way the show rewards attentive viewers, connecting tiny moments across episodes and showing how even the smallest background details have their own little stories in Bluey's world. As we know, even the background characters of Bluey are interesting, and so far, we've uncovered many details about the background characters. And today we are going to share some interesting details about the Ice Cream Lady. If you have paid enough attention, then you would know that Bluey and Bingo always buy ice cream from this lady. And throughout the episodes, we've seen the Ice Cream Lady growing her business. Unsurprisingly, the first time we saw her was in the episode Ice Cream, and at the time she used to sell ice cream in a small cart. And after that, we saw her selling ice cream at the market in the episode The Quiet Game. And finally, when we saw her in the episode Tradies, she now owned an ice cream truck. This is a minor, but a really cool detail. Moving on, in the episode Daddy Drop Off, we see the start of a beautiful friendship between Bingo and Lila. After witnessing the beginning of Bingo and Lila's friendship, we see a sequence of photos that follow them into adulthood, showing that the two will study together all the way through college. In one of the photos in the background, we see Bluey's school, indicating that the two will go there together as soon as they turn 6, which isn't too far off since Bingo just turned 5. So this basically proves that Bingo will go to the same school as Bluey. In the early days of Bluey, almost all Bluey fans thought Bluey was a boy, but later we realized that she's in fact a girl. But did you know, there is a really easy way to differentiate between male and female characters in Bluey. The first way is that almost all male characters, except for some, have slightly wider bodies than the female characters. For example, let's look at Chili and Bandit. We can notice that Bandit has a much wider body compared to Chili. Another way that we can use to differentiate boys from girls is the way the characters sit. For example, the female characters in the show always sit with their legs closer together, while the male dogs always sit with their legs slightly spread apart. And when the girls play games pretending to be male dogs, they sit in the same manner as a male character, like in the episode Sleepover. When Bingo disguises herself as a man with a mustache, she sits in a completely different way from how we're used to seeing her, indicating that she's imitating a man. This is really an interesting detail that very few have noticed. In the episode Ragdoll, there's a sneaky little mystery hiding in plain sight. Bluey finds a $10 bill on the laundry room floor and rushes to show Bandit. But instead of celebrating the lucky find, Bandit casually takes the money and slips it between himself and the couch. But the issue is, when he gets up, the money is gone. No couch cushions, no wallet, no explanation. So where did it go? Unless Bandit has invisible pockets hidden in his fur, this one makes 0 sense. And this isn't even the only time it happened. In the episode Phones, Chili does the exact same thing. She takes out her phone and somehow puts it away, even though she's not wearing any clothes. Maybe all grown-up healers have invisible pouches for storage. One of Bluey's good friends who has been with her since she was just a little pup is Snickers. And there's one item he wears that's practically inseparable, his yellow cap. A lot of people don't realize it, but we've only seen Snickers without his cap twice, and one of those times is in the episode Explorers, where he's sliding down the hill at school. At that moment, we can see his cap fall off his head as he's rolling. The other time we see him without his cap is in the minisode K9 News, where he's presenting a little pretend news broadcast, and to look more professional, he takes off his cap. In the episode The Sign, we saw Bandit almost selling the healer house because of a job offer he had long before, and when we say long before, we really mean more than 40 episodes before. In the episode Curry Quest, we notice Bandit travels for a job, and he returns after 6 weeks. And in the episode Stickbird, when the family goes on vacation, he spends a lot of time with distant thoughts while everyone else is having fun. We can notice that the background story is about Bandit and how he feels at that moment. At the time, we didn't know what he was going through. Basically, what happened was, when he traveled, he participated in a major archaeological discovery, which led him to receive a very good job offer. So, Bandit had been thinking about selling the house for a long time, and eventually he didn't. which made both the viewers and the healers very happy. In the episode Baby Race, we found an intriguing detail. As we all know, in Baby Race, we heard the story about Bluey's first step. But the interesting part about this episode is, if we look at Chili's appearance in the flashback, we can notice that she has no gray hair. And not just Chili, if we look at Bandit, he also doesn't have any of the gray hairs on his face. This basically shows how they have aged throughout the years. This is a really small detail, but it makes Bluey even more fun to watch. Everything about Bluey is well known, so much so that even their garden gnomes have their own fan bases. And among these gnomes, Jeremy is probably the fan favorite. And if you paid close attention to the episode The Sign, then you'll remember that our dear, beloved, and long-suffering Jeremy gets kicked by Frisky when she's arguing with Radley on the phone. And when she kicks the poor gnome, we can notice a small crack on its head. But did you know that crack wasn't due to Frisky's kick, but from one of the previous episodes? Yes, that's right. Despite Frisky's aggression towards the poor garden gnome, we can notice that even before this happened, he was already broken. Here's the detail. This is a direct reference to the episode Backpackers. In it, Bluey and Bingo are playing while clinging onto Bandit. But while doing so, we see poor Jeremy falling to the ground and one of his pieces simply flying off, proving that his ceramic hat definitely broke at that moment. So, Chili must have glued him back together later, but you could still see the cracks even after the repair. If you have watched Bluey for a long time, then you would know that the long dog is a famous Bluey Easter egg that has appeared in every episode so far. But the detail is, in some episodes, the long dog appears in such a clever way that it's very hard to notice. For example, in the episode Sleepy Time, Bingo is exploring the planets in her dream, and here we can notice the long dog in rather unusual way. Right at this point, if we zoom in at the stars, we can notice a constellation, and if we connect the stars, it creates a long dog. Seriously, this is such a clever way to show the long dog. And that's not all. As we know, the long dog always appears alone. But that's not the case in the episode Double Babysitter. In this episode, Rad and Frisky babysit Bluey and Bingo. And in the end part of the episode, when Rad and Frisky are sitting in the balcony watching the night sky, we can notice two long dogs in the scene. This is probably the first time that we have seen two long dogs together. As we know, every small thing in Bluey has a hidden meaning. And in the episode where Bingo and her best friend Laya end up saving a little caterpillar, we notice that the small caterpillar turns into a pupa, and then into a beautiful butterfly that lands on both friends' hands. And you might be wondering what this means. Well, you may not know, but butterfly symbolizes new beginnings. And in the show's context, it symbolized the beginning of Bingo and Lila's friendship. And this wasn't the only episode where we saw the blue butterfly. In the episode The Sign, when Chili and Bluey are sitting on a bench, we can notice the same blue butterfly flying in the background. And as we all know, the Sign episode was all about Radley and Frisky's wedding. So, the butterfly was shown again to symbolize the new beginning of Rad and Frisky. Pretty cool, right? And that's all for today's Hidden Secrets in Bluey. If you spotted something we missed, let us know in the comments. We might feature it in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.